When 10-year-old Tyler Blackstone hit his head diving into the pool, he had exactly 4 minutes before brain damage would set in. Marcus Johnson, the lifeguard everyone treated like furniture, was about to prove why every second counts. Before starting the story, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. The summer sun blazed over the Beacon Hill Country Club as Marcus Johnson adjusted his red lifeguard cap and scanned the pristine pool deck. At 26, he had been working as a lifeguard for 3 summers, but this wasn't just any pool. This was where Boston's wealthiest families came to see and be seen, where membership cost more than most people's annual salaries. Marcus sat perched on his elevated chair, watching over 50 guests at the Blackstone family's annual pool party. Catherine and Robert Blackstone owned Blackstone Industries, a tech empire worth $2.1 billion, and their parties were legendary among Boston's elite. But Marcus wasn't thinking about wealth or status. His trained eyes constantly swept the water, watching for any signs of trouble. Most of the adults were clustered around the pool's shallow end, sipping champagne and discussing stock portfolios. The children, including 10-year-old Tyler Blackstone, were playing in the deeper water under Marcus's watchful supervision. What the party guests didn't know was that Marcus Johnson wasn't just any lifeguard. Before taking this job, he had been a Navy rescue swimmer, trained in advanced water rescue techniques and emergency medicine. He had saved 17 lives during his military service, including pulling 3 sailors from a sinking destroyer in rough seas off the coast of San Diego. But when Marcus applied for civilian jobs after his military service, his Navy credentials seemed to matter less than people's assumptions about young black men. Despite his extensive training and experience, the only positions he could find were entry-level jobs like lifeguarding. He took the country club position because he needed income, but also because he genuinely believed in the importance of water safety. "Marcus," Catherine Blackstone's voice cut through the afternoon chatter, "could you clean up those towels? Our guests shouldn't have to look at such a mess." Marcus nodded politely and climbed down from his chair to collect the scattered towels. This was typical. Despite being hired as a lifeguard, the Blackstones often treated him more like general pool maintenance. He had learned to accept these interruptions as part of the job, even though they took his attention away from his primary responsibility of watching the swimmers. "I still don't understand why they hired him," Catherine whispered loudly to her friend Margaret, clearly intending for Marcus to overhear. There were perfectly qualified candidates from better backgrounds, but apparently they needed to meet some kind of diversity requirement. Marcus had heard comments like this countless times over the past 3 summers. The club members seemed to view him as an affirmative action hire rather than a trained professional. They spoke about him as if he weren't there, made jokes about inner-city swimming skills, and frequently questioned whether he was truly qualified for the position. What frustrated Marcus most wasn't the personal disrespect. He had dealt with prejudice his entire life. What bothered him was that their dismissive attitude could potentially compromise safety. When people don't respect the lifeguard, they're less likely to follow pool rules or heed warnings about dangerous behavior. "Tyler, don't run on the deck," Marcus called out as he watched the Blackstone boy sprint toward the diving board. "The surface is slippery when wet." Tyler slowed down momentarily but rolled his eyes. As the afternoon progressed, the party grew more relaxed. Adults drank more champagne, conversations became louder, and supervision of the children became less attentive. This was exactly the kind of environment where accidents happened, when everyone assumed someone else was watching the kids. Tyler Blackstone was showing off for a group of his friends, attempting increasingly daring dives from the 3-meter diving board. His parents were absorbed in a heated discussion about a business merger and hadn't noticed their son's escalating risk-taking behavior. "Tyler," Marcus called out, "remember what we talked about. Feet first for new dives until you're completely comfortable with the depth." "I know what I'm doing," Tyler shouted back, his voice carrying the confidence of a child who had never experienced real consequences for his actions. That's when Tyler decided to attempt a dive he had seen older teenagers perform, a running start into a forward flip. It was a maneuver that required precise timing and experience, not something a 10-year-old should attempt without proper instruction. Marcus saw what was about to happen and started moving before Tyler even left the diving board. Years of military training had honed his ability to anticipate danger and react instantly. But even with his quick reflexes, Marcus was still 20 feet away when Tyler launched into his flip. The dive went wrong immediately. Tyler's timing was off, causing him to over-rotate and enter the water at a dangerous angle. Instead of a clean entry, he hit the surface awkwardly, his head striking the pool's edge with a sickening thud that echoed across the suddenly silent party area. Tyler's body disappeared beneath the water's surface. Marcus was already in motion, diving from his chair in a perfect rescue entry that barely disturbed the water around Tyler's submerged form. The military training took over completely: assess the victim, secure the airway, begin extraction procedures. Tyler was unconscious and sinking toward the pool's bottom. Marcus could see blood in the water from the head injury, and more critically, Tyler wasn't breathing. In water rescue situations, every second counted. Brain cells begin dying after 4 minutes without oxygen, and Tyler had already been under for nearly 30 seconds. Marcus executed a textbook underwater rescue, securing Tyler in a cross-chest carry that kept the boy's head above water while allowing Marcus to swim efficiently toward the pool's edge. But as he broke the surface, Marcus faced a more challenging problem than the rescue itself: getting help from people who had never taken him seriously. "Call 911!" Marcus shouted to the frozen crowd of party guests. "Head injury with possible drowning. I need someone to clear the pool deck and get towels." Instead of immediate action, Marcus was met with confused stares and hesitation. The same people who had questioned his qualifications were now paralyzed by the reality of a medical emergency. "Is Tyler okay?" Catherine Blackstone asked, rushing toward the pool. "What happened to my son?" "Ma'am, Tyler hit his head diving and was unconscious underwater," Marcus explained while lifting Tyler's limp body out of the pool. "He's not breathing. I need to start CPR immediately." "Should we wait for the paramedics?" Robert Blackstone asked, his business world confidence completely shattered by his son's medical crisis. "No, sir," Marcus replied, already positioning Tyler on the pool deck and checking for pulse and breathing. "With drowning victims, immediate CPR is critical. Every minute we delay reduces the chances of full recovery." Marcus began chest compressions, counting aloud while maintaining the precise rhythm he had learned in Navy medical training. After 30 compressions, he tilted Tyler's head back, opened his airway, and began rescue breathing. The pool deck was completely silent, except for Marcus's steady counting and the sound of approaching sirens. 50 of Boston's most powerful people watched a man they had dismissed and disrespected fight to save a child's life with skills they never knew he possessed. "Come on, Tyler," Marcus whispered between compressions. "Come back to us." After what felt like an eternity but was actually less than 3 minutes, Tyler suddenly coughed up pool water and began breathing on his own. His eyes fluttered open, unfocused, but alive. "Tyler!" Catherine Blackstone dropped to her knees beside her son. "Baby, can you hear me?" Tyler looked around confusedly, disoriented by the crowd of adults staring down at him. "What happened?" he asked weakly. "You had an accident diving," Marcus explained gently, still monitoring Tyler's breathing and pulse. "You hit your head and were unconscious in the water, but you're going to be okay." The paramedics arrived and immediately took over Tyler's care, but not before the lead EMT pulled Marcus aside. "Excellent work," the paramedic said quietly. "That was textbook CPR, and your timing probably saved this kid's life. You've got some serious training." "Navy rescue swimmer," Marcus replied. "Old habits." "Well, those old habits just prevented brain damage or worse. This family owes you everything." As Tyler was loaded into the ambulance for transport to the hospital, Catherine Blackstone approached Marcus with tears in her eyes. "Marcus," she said, struggling to find words, I don't know how to thank you." "Just glad Tyler's going to be okay, ma'am," Marcus replied. "That's what matters." "But it's not just that he's okay," Catherine continued. "It's that you knew exactly what to do. You moved so fast, so professionally. Where did you learn to do that?" "Navy rescue swimmer, ma'am, specialized in water rescue and emergency medicine." Catherine stared at him in shock. "You were in the Navy? Doing rescue work?" Yes, ma'am. 8 years active duty. Saved 17 lives during my service. The weight of this information hit Catherine like a physical blow. For 3 summers, she had treated Marcus as an unqualified hire, someone who was only employed to meet diversity requirements. In reality, he was more qualified than any civilian lifeguard they could have hired. "Marcus," she said, her voice barely above a whisper, "I owe you an apology. We have treated you terribly, and today you saved my son's life." The next day, Marcus received a call from Robert Blackstone asking him to come to the family's home. Marcus wasn't sure what to expect. Gratitude, certainly, but also possibly questions about the incident or changes to his employment. When he arrived at the Blackstone mansion, he was surprised to find Tyler sitting up in bed, fully alert and asking to see the lifeguard who saved me. "Marcus," Tyler called out when he entered the room, "my parents told me you pulled me out of the pool and made me breathe again." "That's right, buddy," Marcus said, sitting down beside the bed. "You gave us quite a scare yesterday." "I'm sorry I didn't listen when you told me not to try that dive," Tyler said seriously. "My parents explained that you were trying to keep me safe." "That's my job, Tyler. But more than that, I care about making sure you and all the other kids have fun safely." Robert Blackstone appeared in the doorway. "Marcus, could I speak with you privately?" They moved to Robert's office, where Marcus was surprised to find Catherine waiting with a folder of documents. "Marcus," Robert began, "yesterday you saved our son's life. But more than that, you showed us something about ourselves that we're not proud of." "Sir?" "For 3 years we treated you as if you were just help," Catherine said, her voice heavy with shame. "We never asked about your background, your qualifications, your experience. We made assumptions based on prejudice. We've learned that you're a decorated Navy veteran with specialized rescue training," Robert continued. "You've saved 17 lives in military service, and now you've saved Tyler. Meanwhile, we complained about your hiring and questioned your qualifications." Marcus remained silent, unsure how to respond to this unprecedented acknowledgement. "We want to make this right," Catherine said. "First, we're establishing a scholarship fund for military veterans pursuing careers in water safety and emergency services. Second, we're funding advanced lifeguard training programs at community centers in underserved neighborhoods." "That's very generous," Marcus said, "but not necessary." "It's absolutely necessary," Robert interrupted. "But there's more. We'd like to offer you a position as Director of Safety and Aquatic Programs for all Blackstone Industries recreational facilities, full benefits, competitive salary, and the authority to implement whatever safety protocols you deem appropriate." Marcus was stunned. "Mr. Blackstone, I appreciate the offer, but before you answer," Catherine said, "I want you to know that Tyler has asked if you could teach him proper diving techniques. He says he wants to learn from a real hero." "I'm not a hero," Marcus replied. "I just did my job." "No," Robert said firmly. "Yesterday you did much more than your job. You saved our son's life despite the fact that we had never shown you the respect you deserved. That's not just professional competence. That's character." 6 months later, Marcus stood before a group of new lifeguards at the Blackstone Aquatic Safety Training Center, a state-of-the-art facility built specifically to train water safety professionals from diverse backgrounds. "Water rescue isn't about the color of your skin, your economic background, or where you went to school," Marcus told the trainees. "It's about preparation, vigilance, and the commitment to protect every person under your watch, regardless of how they treat you." Tyler Blackstone, now 11 and a confident swimmer under Marcus's instruction, often visited the training center to help demonstrate proper diving techniques to younger students. "Marcus saved my life," Tyler would tell visitors to the center, "but he also taught me that being a hero means doing the right thing even when people don't appreciate you." Catherine Blackstone had become one of the program's most dedicated advocates, frequently speaking at fundraising events about the importance of recognizing and respecting expertise wherever it's found. "I spent 3 years looking at Marcus Johnson and seeing only what I expected to see," she would tell audiences. "I saw a job category, not a person. I saw an assumption, not experience. Nearly lost my son because of that blindness." The Blackstone family's transformation became a case study in how tragedy can reveal both our worst assumptions and our capacity for growth. Marcus's split-second response to Tyler's accident exposed years of prejudice, but it also created an opportunity for genuine change. "You know what I learned," Robert Blackstone said during a television interview about the incident. "Qualifications aren't always visible on the surface. The most capable person in any situation might be the one you've been overlooking." The reporter asked, "What would have happened if you had succeeded in hiring a different lifeguard that summer?" Robert's face grew serious. "My son would probably be dead. We almost let our prejudices cost us everything that matters." Tyler, now a teenager and an accomplished diver, continued to train with Marcus and had expressed interest in becoming a water safety instructor himself. "Marcus taught me that real strength isn't about showing off," Tyler explained during a youth water safety event. "It's about being prepared to help others when they need it most, even if they've never been kind to you." Marcus's story spread throughout the water safety community, inspiring other military veterans to pursue careers in civilian rescue services. The training center he directed became a model for similar programs across the country. "Every day I put on this uniform," Marcus said during his speech at the National Lifeguard Association conference, "I remember that someone's child might need me to be at my best. That responsibility doesn't care about anyone's assumptions about who I am or where I come from." The day Tyler nearly drowned became the day 3 lives were saved: Tyler from physical death, and Marcus and the Blackstone family from the spiritual death of living with unexamined prejudice and missed opportunities for human connection. Marcus Johnson proved that heroism isn't about recognition or reward. It's about being prepared to do what's right when the moment demands it. Catherine and Robert Blackstone learned that their assumptions about people could blind them to the very expertise they needed most. And Tyler discovered that real heroes are often the people others overlook, working quietly to keep everyone safe. The most powerful lesson from that summer afternoon was simple but profound. You never know when the person you've been dismissing might be the one who saves your life. True qualification isn't about appearance or assumption. It's about preparation, competence, and the character to act when action is needed most. If this story touched your heart, remember that there are Marcus Johnsons all around us, people whose backgrounds, training, and dedication are hidden beneath others' low expectations. The most valuable discovery you can make isn't about their credentials. It's about your own capacity to see people for who they really are, rather than who you assume them to be. Thank you very much for listening. Please let us know what you think of this story in the comments. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Turn on notifications so you don't miss any other videos.